Alright, so finally I'm doing my top 10 favorite Jedi. Now, most of you guys already know I already did my top 10 favorite Sith. So yeah, makes sense. The only logical place to go is Jedi. And for those wondering, no, I'm not going to do... I don't think I'll do other Star Wars like groups like smugglers and bounty hunters and what have you. Probably because it will all end up the same way. We'll probably know the same characters you'll see on there again and again. Jedi and Sith, I think, is pretty much the quintessential list you need to go with these things. So with that being said, as always with my top 10 list, this is just my personal favorite list. If you have a favorite on here that you think should be higher or lower or not on the list, that's totally fine. No ill will against you. These are just my personal favorite Jedi. If you like these things differently or not at all, that's totally fine. I'm not saying these are the top 10 Jedi and you should like them. Brr. Not saying that at all. This is just me. This is just a personal taste. So I'm always excited to know who are your top 10 favorite Jedi. So, yeah. This ought to be a lot of fun. And let me say, this list was a lot harder to do. Why? The reason being of why this was kind of harder to do than the other lists, than the Sith list, because I already had like my favorite Sith and all. I just had to number the other 9 down from the number 1. This was a little different because the thing with Jedi, and the prequels really reinforced of why the Jedi kind of fell, was because there's so many rules, and a lot of these Jedi you don't care about unless they're in the extended universe, and even then that's a stretch. So this Jedi, I did have some Jedi that I was like, oh yeah, he or she's gonna be on this list because they have meaning to them. Other ones, I was just kind of like, yeah, you're there. So I'm gonna say right now, Mace Windu is not on this list. Why? Yes, I know Mace Windu in the extended universe is an all-around badass, but god damn is he so hollow in the prequels that I just don't care. I physically do not, and that's saying something, because Samuel L. Jackson's like one of the best motherfucking actors out there, and I should care about a character he's playing, but thank you, Lucas, for not making me care about Samuel L. Jackson. Thank you. Ugh. So yeah, he's made me physically not care about anything in the extended universe with Mace Windu. It's not like with the other characters, like even with Qui-Gon Jinn, where I'm like, yeah, I can, even though you're played by, you're boring in, Phantom Menace, and you're just there for exposition. The only thing you have going for it is that you're played by Liam Neeson. There's like some smidgen of character there that I can care about enough in the EU to make me want to care about this character. Shockingly, Qui-Gon, however, did not make this list either. So that was kind of the problem, was that, Jedi and all their, a whole group of Knights of Celibacy just doesn't, and everything, and all their emotions, say everything, all your emotions, lead to the dark side in some way or another. Yeah, Knights of Celibacy and controlling your emotions. That ain't sitting with me. Yeah, because I am so not about celibacy, guys. Hey-o. But anyway, I'm getting off track here, so let's get on with the list. Number 10. Kit Fisto. Now with Kit Fisto, this dude was awesome. Like when I first saw him in Attack of the Clones, I was like, oh, you're interesting. And then I saw him in the Clone Wars micro series, and I was like, oh, he's so awesome. And remember, the micro series came out long before the appearance of Revenge of the Sith, and then I saw him in Revenge of the Sith about to face the Emperor. I was like, oh yeah, get him! Oh no, one hit and you're dead. What the fuck? And that's the thing. Like that's the problem with Revenge of the Sith and the prequels in general, is that the prequels in general were terrible, and a lot of writers had to find a lot of room to make sense of the bullshittery George Lucas made. So yeah, they had to work with what they had. And Kit Fisto was one of the characters from who in the EU was a lot cooler in the Clone Wars series. He was adventurous. He almost had like an Indiana Jones type feel to him, where he knew the Jedi code, but he could be like this. Actually, no, Indiana Jones is not. Well, no, Indiana Jones seems right, because he was this very swashbuckling type character. Had a lot of fun. He cracked jokes, but he can be serious at the drop of a hat. And it's kind of very hinted at that he and Ayla Secura did have a thing going on at one point or another. Unfortunately, that's never really, touched on further, because, Order 66 happened and all that. But with the thing with Kit Fisto is, again, Clone Wars made him so cool in the comics and in the Micro series, and his appearance when he fought Grievous. And then when you watch him fighting Grievous and, several other things he did in both Clone Wars series, both this 2D and 3D show, you kind of look at, Revenge of the Sith and just see him get one hit by Sidious and just be like, man, what the fuck, dude? So, yeah, it's more of the love I have for Kit Fisto in Clone Wars that he's on this list. So, there you go, Kit Fisto. Number 9. Shaak Ti. With Shaak Ti, it's kind of the same reasons with Kit Fisto, but a little different. With Shaak Ti, it's interesting because she was a very logical thinker as well as an excellent duelist. Shaak Ti really made herself a very interesting character, and I'm really glad they didn't go with the deleted scene of Grievous killing her, because now, yeah, she's still alive in, canon. And you could say, oh, but what about Starkiller killing her? What about, Vader's apprentice killing her in Force Unleashed? Well, apparently Force Unleashed is no longer canon, according to a lot of sources. So, yeah, apparently, yes, according to the new EU, she's still alive in this new continuity, which is good because she's kind of a sword-wielding badass. I mean, seriously, you guys remember in the 2D series where she just fought all of Grievous's Magna Guards, and she's just going ham on all of them. She's getting her ass beat at the same time. She's just like, I'm taking you bastards out with me. And that was the thing with Shaak Ti in a majority of the Clone Wars EU, is that she was kind of mentally scarred after her, first encounter with General Grievous, and she was, for the lack of a better word, had PTSD over it, and she had to rise above it. Not to mention, her last two her last two Padawans fell to the dark side. She had to keep going with that, and even if you want to go by, previous EU in The Force Unleashed, even Maris fell to the dark side. But then again, I kind of feel like Shaak Ti really dropped the ball on that one, because I'm going to leave you alone in a Rancor graveyard on a planet where beings are very connected with the Force but don't know how to use it that well and can easily fall to the dark side. It'll be fine. It'll be totally fine. Rather than, run away, I'll just stand and fight a guy who's clearly taken out 2, as far as I know, other Jedi, and now I'm, rather than do the logical thing of run, I'm getting off track, sorry. But yeah, Shaak Ti was a lot of fun. She's just kind of a great character. She can be stoic, but at the same time, she can be like a den mother in almost a way with a lot of younger Jedi. So, it's kind of and also she's alive, so that she also gets points for that. So anyway, yeah, there you go. Number 9, Shaak Ti. Number 8, Kanan. Now, Kanan Jarrus, I know, yes, he's a new character, and yeah, it's very interesting because, yeah, he's, Rebels has only been around for, 2 years? But the thing with Kanan, and makes him so interesting, is that he was the only Padawan to escape the, Order 66, and from there, he's been kind of doing well for himself, having his own rebellion cell, training Ezra, even though he was never really made a Jedi Knight. Hell, when, Order 66 happened, he was about, 14 years old? Maybe even, I think he was 15 or 16 now that I think about it. But yeah, he saw his master get gunned down in front of him, but now he's running a rebel cell, he's one of the last Jedi, and he's got a Twi'lek girlfriend, so I think he's doing pretty well for himself. Kanan is, the reason why I like Kanan and why he's on this list is because he's very down to earth. Even as a kid, he was kind of like, man, the Jedi rules are bullshit. And that's kind of the thing, is that he wants to be his own Jedi. And again, what I said about Kit Fisto is that, Kanan can be this very swashbuckling type character, but like Shaak Ti, he can be stoic and very knowledgeable. So he pretty much brings the best qualities of Kit and Shaak Ti and puts it to his own character and makes one very interesting character. Here's a guy who survived a war, and even though he doesn't talk about it, you can clearly tell that this war screwed him over mentally. And now he's, very hesitant of being part of another war. A war that seems, at this point in the Star Wars mythos, kind of unwinnable. And that's kind of the thing. He has to put on a brave face, even though, yeah, I'm terrified he's like, yeah, I'm terrified out of my, beyond belief, but I gotta make myself look strong in front of my family, or this is all gonna turn to shit. And that's what I like about him, is that despite it all, despite his own fears, Kanan is willing to, look past that. He's willing to go beyond, put the willpower and go beyond his fear. Seriously, I think this dude would get a Green Lantern ring if he was in the DC universe. So yes, Kanan at number 8. Number 7. Ahsoka Tano. Now, Ahsoka, man, you see, at the start of with Ahsoka, I didn't like her. I honestly, at the start of Clone Wars, I didn't like her. She was whiny, she was bratty, way too much of a smart aleck. But throughout the show, throughout the series, we clearly saw her, get better. We saw her become more, physically and mentally focused with herself. She became a capable leader on the battlefield, much as Anakin and Obi-Wan. And that's what I really liked about her, is that she got character growth as the series went on. And now in Rebels, she's now kind of like the matriarch of the group. She's very much like, she's now the master. She is now the, one of the, you could consider her a Jedi Master in a way. Even though, again, she never really got that rank officially. But still, you see her, now she can hold her own. And now we're just all waiting for her and Vader to throw down. And that's what I like, is that this is a girl, much like with Kanan's shoes, was like, just even at a young age, survived a horrible traumatic experience where friends and comrades were just slaughtered like that, and had to bounce back from that, despite being like, yeah, I just lost everything, and all I have left is the Force. So what else am I supposed to do? Oh, I know. I'll set up a rebel cell, help form it, and protect what's left of the Jedi. So we have that, Ahsoka, I just feel like they, at first, again, didn't like her, but as the show went on, we saw that she can be like a capable leader. We saw her more like a general than we did a Jedi at sometimes. And that's what I like, is that she can even be very down to earth. Also, I don't blame all the people who shipped her with Anakin. Seriously, I think she had, I don't ship Anakin and Ahsoka myself, but I can understand why people shipped it, because even in the Clone Wars series, no one gave a fuck about Anakin and Padme. As much as they gave about much fucks as they did in the prequel movie, so that's not much. And you can clearly see the chemistry between her and Anakin in the show. So again, I don't ship it, but I can understand why people shipped it to begin with. So, yeah. She was, what more can I say about Ahsoka, other than she was a character I started out hating, and now look at her. She's in my top 10. Anyway, so, moving on. Number 5. Kyle Katarn. Yep, Kyle Katarn. Now, Kyle is a very interesting character because he was one of those few that showed up in the video games, and really, he had a cult following. Seriously, if there's any character that should show up in Rebels, this is another one. Seriously, Kyle Katarn was a character who we could really gravitate towards, because it wasn't like with Luke or anything else, or even at Kanan or, Ezra right now in Rebels. The thing with Kyle was that he started out he was a stormtrooper. He was a stormtrooper who, learned that he had the Force, and then had to walk that dangerous line from either becoming a servant of the Empire or an ally to the Rebellion. He, out of everyone else in this list, well, actually no, there was one other guy on this list who really had to play between dark side and light. He, during the original trilogy era, he had to, have that deadly dance of, I have to continue on with what I'm doing, or, this power is going to kill me. And, yeah, that was the kind of thing. There were points where the dark side really did, consume him. It really did take control of his life, and Kyle had to be brought back. He couldn't fight his way out. He had to depend on others to do so. And, yeah, that was the thing. Even at the age he was, I think he was even older than Luke when he discovered he was Force sensitive. But, yeah, he had to walk that line more at a closer path than even Luke did, I would say, because the dark side is so much easier to fall into and so much more powerful in a way. And that was the thing. He even had to fight it when he was taking on Jarrus in the Valley of the Jedi. He had so many opportunities to fall from grace, and even points where he did fall from grace and had to be pulled out of it. He was not indestructible, and that's one of the things I like about him, was that he was not this, uber-powered badass who just was this Gary Stu character that could, just instantly bounce back from the dark side. Looking at you, Galen. But that was the thing. He needed help, and also he was not above, the Jedi Code. He didn't believe in the Jedi Code. And even though, he helped, he pretty much helped Luke restart the Jedi Order, and he was, one of the Jedi Masters in the Council. But he would gladly kill you if he was kind of like a better version of Mace Windu. He was willing to get shit done in the name of the Order and for the New Republic. So, of course I was going to put Kyle on this list. So, Kyle Katarn. So hope you all are enjoying this list so far. Stay tuned for the top 5, and you guys tell me, who are your top 10 favorite Jedi? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, this is just my personal list, and I really am hoping you guys are enjoying it. Anyway, once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.